Before we get started, if you're new to this channel, make sure to like and subscribe. Now, let's dive into recap.
This is the story of the Yudo family, or rather, a member of the family. The Yudo family is considered a renowned sword-wielding lineage, blessed with a unique trait. Every member is born with a strong physique and exceptional talent. Supposedly, they have ruled over the world with their 3 laws of virtue: control, conquer, and combat. The protagonist of the story is Shun Yuto, the youngest son in the family. During the selection ceremony, which takes place within the family, each child is expected to choose their future by selecting what they want to become. Shun, choosing the patriarch's sword, expected his future to be filled with wealth and success. However, his dreams were shattered quite early on. It turned out that Shun had 0 talent in swordsmanship. As if that wasn't enough of a torment, people around him constantly reminded him that he was nothing but an embarrassment to his family, especially his brothers. They bullied Shun at every opportunity. For instance, one time when he was trying to practice with his wooden sword, his brothers noticed him and started taunting him. Eventually they began hitting him, and even when that did not satisfy them, they ended up breaking Shun's prized wooden sword. This led Shun to develop a deep hatred for his family. However, he remained determined to work hard despite the bullying. He believed that if he worked hard, he would eventually be recognized by his family and finally be accepted as a part of it. But things took an unfortunate turn for him when, at the age of 25, he was banished from his family. They only spared his life because of the efforts he had made. After wandering aimlessly for quite some time, he met someone he addressed as Master. Thanks to his master, Shun came to realize that he wasn't as useless as everyone claimed him to be. He discovered that he was indeed talented, but in something his family considered taboo: magic. Now, 3 years later, while researching how to strengthen mana, Shun is visited by Isamu, the Master of Shadows. Isamu has a special reason for seeking Shun out. He offers him a contract. If Shun agrees, he will gain the ability to use shadow magic as part of his power and will be able to negate all curses. After conducting an inspection, Isamu informs Shun that someone has been working against him since his childhood. As a result, they placed a curse on him, preventing him from using his abilities to their full potential. The curse, called Bladed Illusion, is typically used to suppress one's swordsmanship talent. Isamu realizes that this is precisely why he was drawn to Shun and proceeds to break the curse, assuring him that no one will be able to harm him anymore. After Isamu leaves, Shun picks up a sword to test if anything has changed. To his amazement, he realizes that the Master of Shadows was right. With just a little effort, he can now achieve great things with ease. And if he incorporates magic, he will reach new heights in no time. However, the scene soon shifts to Shun lying barely conscious beneath a massive rock. His body feels heavy and he can barely open his eyes. Realizing that he is dying, he laments the fact that he finally had the chance to wield magic and the power of shadows, only to face death so soon. His vision darkens. But suddenly his surroundings brighten, and he finds himself in the past, surrounded by his family members. He has traveled back in time to the day of the ceremony, when he originally chose the patriarch's sword. In his previous life he had selected the sword by chance, but this time he is determined to do it by choice. Everyone is shocked to see Shun pick the patriarch's sword, Barasada. Now, 6 years later, Shun is in Storm Castle, where he is required to stay until he turns 10. Bored, he reaches for a book, realizing he still has 3 more years to spend in the castle. Suddenly he hears his maid shriek in fear. Upon investigating, they discover a dead bird inside Shun's room. Looking down at it, Shun immediately knows who is responsible. The only other people in the castle are his older brothers, Daytona Yuto, the 11th of the 13 siblings, aged 9, and Heitona Yuto, the 12th of the 13 siblings, also aged 9. As the 2 brothers enter, they admit to placing the bird in his room and repeatedly ask Shun if he liked their gift. Shun, already aware of the future, remembers them becoming notorious killers once they became flag bearers. However, he finds it even more shocking that these 9-year-olds killed an innocent bird just to torment a 6-year-old. When Shun ignores their remarks, they grow irritated. Heitona steps forward to punch him, but before he can even lay a finger on Shun, Shun catches his fist and punches him instead. Annoyed by his bratty brothers, Shun beats them until they fall unconscious. Just then Khan, their guardian soldier, enters and demands to know what happened. He is surprised to see two of his young masters on the ground, and grows confused when Shun lies, claiming that the two brats had been fighting and suddenly collapsed on their own. Khan picks them up and announces that he will take them to the doctors, but Shun stops him and tells him to follow him instead. Obeying his master, Khan follows Shun to a tree. As rain pours down, Shun leaves the two unconscious boys under the tree. Khan, concerned, asks if Shun really plans to abandon them there, knowing the rain will only get stronger. But Shun insists that they must learn a lesson. This raises Khan's suspicions. He senses that Shun's response carried more than just aura, it must have been mana. If that is the case, he realizes he must inform Shun's father, as this would no longer be considered a simple fight between brothers. Khan then calls over one of the men nearby and asks for his horse. As Shun watches Khan heading away, he already knows that Khan is making his way toward his father. Shun could understand why Khan would mistake shadow energy for mana. However, he also knew that shadow energy was the only thing that allowed him to remember his past and his contract with Isamu. He knew that because of the help the shadow energy had provided, he would be able to change his life, and he would no longer be the dunce of Yuto. In the next scene, Khan has already reached Shun's father and reported everything he saw. So, Shun's father announces for Khan to assemble the flag bearers. After all 7 flag bearers and 200 knights have been assembled, they all make their way towards Storm Castle. While on their way to the castle, Mary Yuto, the 7th flag bearer, and Dyphus Yuto, the 4th flag bearer, discuss their father's intention behind visiting his youngest sons. They couldn't decide whether he was coming for the twins or for Shun. As they are interrupted by Luna, another flag bearer, they wonder if Shun is really that useful since their patriarch is going out of his way to meet his youngest. Meanwhile, inside the castle, the maid is readying Shun for the patriarch's arrival. She is excited for the patriarch to see his sons, but Shun knows better. He knows that Khan would have told his father everything, and that is why he is coming. Even though Khan wouldn't have been able to tell everything to his father, since he couldn't conclude whether Shun was using mana or not, he would have surely reported everything he saw. Shun also knows another reason his father could be visiting. First, to check whether Shun really is using some special power, and second, to determine if that power is an asset for the future and prosperity of the clan. Soon the patriarch arrives. At his entrance, everybody bows and greets him. As he settles, he calls for the twins. As they greet him on their knees, Shun's father asks them about the altercation they had with Shun. Seeing their chance, they start to badmouth Shun, proclaiming that whatever happened wasn't their fault but Shun's. They make sure to mention the unknown power he used, not aura, but something more closely resembling magic. They suggest that their father interrogate Shun about using magic, since it is a forbidden act. This prompts their father to call them out, commenting that they won't be able to survive in the Yuto family if they maintain their current behavior. Before they can defend themselves, the patriarch asks for his youngest son. As Shun enters, he observes his father, Chiron Yuto, the great patriarch, the strongest ever, the demigod. Shun has always known his father to be cold and stronger than anyone he has ever met. He remembers a time when his father was no different from an ordinary person. However, as he gained the status of a demigod, he lost all of his empathy. He became nothing more than an empty man with an obsession to maintain and increase his family's power and prosperity. Shun clearly remembers the time when he was talentless and invisible in his father's eyes. However, this time he has promised himself that things will be different. With the strength and stubbornness of his old self, he walks up to his father, kneels down in respect, and greets the patriarch. This makes his father question why he addressed him as patriarch and not father, to which Shun responds that it must be an official matter if so many people have come with him. Finding this interesting, Chiron asks Shun the same question he asked the twins about his involvement in the fight. Shun simply confesses that it was an act of revenge. As a member of the Yuto family, he believes that one must always receive what they give to others, whether good or bad. Chiron purses his lips for a moment, and then orders everyone except Shun to leave the room. Once everyone leaves, Chiron finally asks the question he has been waiting for, about the special power Shun possesses. He reminds Shun of the rule in the family against magic, explaining that if one uses magic, they cannot achieve the pinnacle of swordsmanship. Shun informs his father that he doesn't know what his power is since it is neither aura nor magic, and he often wonders what to call it. Seeking his father's permission, he decides to name the power after the one that Yudo's founder possessed. Seeing his son use shadow energy, specifically Barasata's shadow energy, Chiron wonders if Shun is truly destined to be the next head of the family. Chiron then tells Shun about the history of Isamu, who made a contract with the founder of the Yudo family, Lord Timar. After Timar's death, Isamu vanished and has not been in contact since. Chiron believes that Isamu is trying to re-enter the family through Shun. Curious, Shun asks if Isamu is stronger than the demigod himself, to which Chiron has no answer since he has never fought a god before. However, Chiron finds himself impressed by Shun's question and asks how he would want to use such power. Shun replies that he would use it for the sake of his family. But this is when Shun's plan backfires. His answer makes Chiron realize that he is lying. Chiron accuses him of being a liar since he knocked down his brothers and abandoned them in the storm. In a serious tone, he again demands to know Shun's true intentions with his power. Finally realizing that his father won't let it go, Shun truthfully answers that he wants to use it for himself. With a warning that he will be keeping an eye on him, Chiron leaves. As soon as he does, Shun releases a breath he didn't even realize he was holding. He is over the moon to know that his father might have expectations for him. He truly is going to be different from his previous life. In the next scene, Mary comes up to Shun and hands him a huge box as a gift. When he looks inside, he is surprised to find a phoenix's heart. Now he understands why Mary is called Wind Fury Mary, but more specifically, the Madwoman of the South. Now, Shun sits at the table, waiting for the phoenix's heart soup to be prepared. He lists all the benefits of eating the heart, such as gaining resistance to fire and its function as an elixir that promotes growth. A phoenix's heart is required for a 6-star mage to summon a phoenix safely. He truly desires to be able to summon a phoenix with his own hands. Just then, the maid comes in, announcing that the soup is ready for him. But before he can even take a sip, he notices his older twin brothers lusting over the soup. They request him to let them have some as well, but before agreeing, Shun asks them for a favor. In the next scene, the brothers are seen digging inside a cave because of the favor Shun asked them for. Even though they are embarrassed to be doing such manual labor, they confess that a part of them is still quite afraid of Shun. After their hard work, they go back inside, where Shun has saved some soup for them as he promised. Excited to taste it, they rush inside, only to find just 2 teaspoons of soup left on a tray. Even though they are agitated, they thank him for the single teaspoon of soup they received. Meanwhile, Shun makes his way into the cave where the twins had been digging. He is quite impressed by their work, and when he comes face to face with a wall, he knocks on it trying to estimate its thickness. After confirming it, Shun uses his magic far too powerfully and excitedly, as he had no other place to release his mana. He destroys the wall easily, revealing a door, or more specifically the entrance to Yudo's secret family library. He remembers hearing about the library for a long time, but he was never able to enter it since he wasn't a flag bearer. He recalls his brother mentioning that a trigger word is needed to open the doors. So, speaking the trigger word, Yudo's child is here to console Noboru. He watches in awe as the door to the library opens, a place that holds all the secret tomes of the family. As he steps inside, he is shocked to find someone inside a containment tube. Upon closer inspection, he notices that the person has scales on his body, making him realize that this being is not human. After searching his memory, he discovers the truth. It is the black dragon Noboru, who was defeated by the founder and then went into a deep slumber. Shun has heard the legend of the mighty Noboru, but he cannot believe that the stories are true. However, he doesn't want to waste any more time, so he ignores Noboru and moves around the library to find the books he wants. He finds one about the Kungan family, a lineage famous for their swordsmanship. The theory in the book is a bit difficult, as it is a 3-star magic technique. Even though he wants to take the book with him, he knows better, so he resorts to copying the theory and reading it inside the castle. A few days pass, and Shun visits the library daily to copy the theory. But one day while he is in the library, he hears someone enter. He is taken aback, considering that no one from Storm Castle should be able to enter the library. Looking up, he finds Noboru standing before him. Shun is shocked to see Noboru awake, as he has never heard of him awakening in his past life. However, he tries to calm himself, remembering that Noboru is the family guardian and likely won't harm him as long as he remains respectful and behaves like an innocent child. Shun greets Noboru as the family guardian, but this makes Noboru roar in anger. After venting for some time, he sits back on his haunches and sighs. He then admits that he came looking for something because he smelled something good, but all he finds is Shun in front of him. Upon closer inspection, Noboru detects the scent of shadow energy coming from Shun, a scent he will never forget, and one that can only come from those under a contract, just like Timar was. Realizing that Noboru may have awakened due to his contract with the Shadow Master, Shun decides to act innocent and show him the energy. He also mentions Chiron's comment that shadow energy is a power sent by the god of shadows. Hearing this, Noboru falls to his knees, realizing that the contractor promised by the god of shadows after thousands of years is just a child. Accepting his fate, Noboru informs Shun that he made a promise to Soddard a long time ago, and the person who must now fulfill that promise with him is Shun. He assures Shun that he will explain everything later, but first decides to introduce himself. He is Noboru, Isamu's representative and friend, as well as the last descendant of the first being created from the shadows. According to a contract made thousands of years ago, Noboru will always remain by Shun's side. The mighty Noboru has a very interesting past. The stormy mountain was named after him as Noboru Mountain. He was the most powerful ruler for a very long time, but he was defeated in battle by Timar thousands of years ago. As a result, he gave up the mountain and Storm Castle before falling into a deep sleep. But the most surprising part of the story is that Timar and Noboru were never enemies. In fact, they were very good friends, as Noboru was Timar's guardian dragon. It was something granted to all those who had contact with the gods, yet Shun had never been aware of this fact. Things were finally starting to make sense to Shun, but he wondered if he would get a guardian dragon as well. After Noboru's awakening, Shun continued to visit the library, asking him questions he was genuinely curious about while also getting to know him. One day, after months of visiting the library, Shun finally asks the long-awaited question: why Noboru fought Timar. Unfortunately for him, Noboru avoids answering in every way possible. Instead, he questions Shun about why he is transcribing every note. Shun explains that he cannot take the books with him, as it would get him into trouble. When Noboru suggests that he take it easy, Shun replies that he cannot afford to rest. He explains that he has 12 older brothers and sisters, along with parents and elders. If he wants to surpass them all, he must work much harder. He then asks Noboru how much of the book the founder would have been able to interpret. Noboru gives him a very realistic answer. If the founder, Timar, had read the book, he wouldn't have been able to understand a single line. However, that didn't mean he wasn't a great fighter. He explains to Shun that he surely has potential like Timar, but he isn't as good as Timar. Hearing this breaks Shun's heart. He asks Noboru if he will ever be as strong as Timar, but Noboru only gives him hope, saying that if he trains hard, he might be able to become as strong as Timar and maybe one day even surpass him. Trying to uplift his mood, Noboru tells him that Isamu's other name is Infinity, meaning Isamu's power has no limit. This implies that the contractor would also have no limit. Noboru then decides to teach Shun a new trick. The trick is called Shadow Energy Release, which serves as the foundation for utilizing shadow energy. To learn it, Shun must follow a few steps, the first being learning how to form his mana, as Shadow Energy Release involves the formation and movement of mana. Noboru informs him that mastering just the first step would take 2 to 3 years. Since Shun doesn't even know the basics yet, Noboru refuses to teach him anything advanced. However, Shun shocks him by performing the first step with ease, as he used to practice it a lot in his past life. Noboru is truly shocked and impressed by Shun, and decides to give him a sneak peek of how the trick works. He explains that shadow energy is derived from shadows, and since all shadows were born from Isamu, that makes him the owner of all the world's shadows. Additionally, since Shun is the sole contractor, he would also have the potential to become the owner of all the world's shadows. As time passes, within half a year of meeting Noboru, the twins turn 10 and soon leave the castle. Not long after, Shun celebrates his 9th birthday. While cutting the cake, Khan interrupts and announces that Luna has come to visit him. Luna, the firstborn of the Yudo family, also known as the White Whale, had stepped out of the War of Succession to become the next patriarch, despite being the strongest. However, her visit intrigues Shun, as she has never previously attempted to build a relationship with her siblings. In fact, their relationship had been more akin to that of strangers. Trying to guess her reason for visiting, Shun fears that she may have discovered his secret visits to the library. Luna finds Shun's formality endearing but notices that he seems uneasy, so she asks if he is okay. Shun truthfully responds that he is quite nervous since it is the first time he has seen her so closely. This breaks Luna's heart, realizing that her brother feels as though she is there to extort something from him. She regrets not being more considerate of her siblings and apologizes for her past behavior, requesting to speak with him in private. Shun agrees and asks his nanny and the knights to leave. Once they are alone, Luna explains her reason for visiting. She tells Shun that ever since Chiron came to meet him, he has come under the radar of their other siblings. Whenever he leaves the castle, he will now be watched closely. Luna warns him not to get involved in the family's fight for succession. Although Shun is grateful for her concern, he refuses to stay out of it. He explains that it no longer matters, as he has already survived an assassination attempt, one of the reasons he cannot back down. This revelation makes Luna furious, and she demands that Shun tell her who tried to harm him. However, Shun assures her that he doesn't know their identity. Luna comes to the painful realization that Shun has already become entangled in the family battle, which deeply upsets her. To cheer him up, she decides to give him a present. She fastens a beautiful pendant around his neck and explains its abilities. If he ever finds himself in danger, he simply has to break the gem on the pendant, and Luna will come to help him. They spend a memorable day together, and after she leaves, Shun visits Noboru, who questions him about the pendant. Upon learning about it, Noboru informs Shun that the pendant is an artifact of Demon King Orgel, an item people have desperately sought to obtain. If Luna has given it to him as a gift, it means her love for him is infinite. Intrigued, Shun asks for more details and learns that the pendant provides resistance to attack magic of 5 stars and below, and enhances the magical abilities of its wearer. Shun is also shocked to discover that Noboru was able to sense Luna's energy from afar. Noboru admits that Luna might have sensed his energy as well, which worries Shun. What if she informs the family about his secret visits? Noboru reassures him that if Luna was the one who gifted him the pendant, then he doesn't need to worry. He should simply trust her more. Looking back on the time he once thought would be filled with suffering, Shun realizes that it has instead brought him many valuable experiences. His father acknowledging his existence, obtaining the Phoenix Heart, forming a great relationship with his eldest sibling Luna, and meeting the guardian dragon Noboru. As time passes, he turns 10, which means he must start making arrangements to leave Storm Castle and move to his new residence. Meanwhile, Khan has been teaching Shun the basics of combat. After a training session, Khan realizes why Chiron was so interested in Shun. He sees the same authoritative presence in Shun's eyes and feels honored to be his teacher. He reminds Shun that his time in Storm Castle is limited, but promises to provide him with the best training possible. In the next scene, Shun tests whether the Phoenix Heart soup worked by placing his finger over the flame of a lit candle. After confirming that the fire doesn't feel hot to him, he is delighted by this discovery. While the maid helps him pack, he suddenly remembers Noboru. Making an excuse to the maid, he leaves to meet him. Shun asks Noboru if he will follow him to the main castle. The Black Dragon assures him that he will, in such a way that no one will be able to notice him. He explains that as Shun grows in power and strength, so will Noboru. That is why Shun must work hard and become strong like Timar. Shun recalls a time long ago when the Yudo family was renowned as a magic swordsman family. Noboru then explains that the Yudo family's strong opposition to magic stems from a vow established thousands of years ago. Although Noboru remains the family's guardian, he is aware that they will not be pleased to see him. Therefore, they must ensure that no one discovers his presence. Additionally, they need to address the now empty tube captivity. Noboru suggests that he will handle it by creating an illusion of himself using dragon tongue magic. However, he admits that since he has not fully regained his energy, maintaining the illusion may be difficult. As a gesture of appreciation, Shun gives Noboru some strawberry pie, which he loves, and wine, which Shun was able to swipe while the maid was not looking. In the next scene, Shun's nanny is buttoning up his jacket, and the sorrow is quite evident on her face as Shun has to leave for the main castle now. She reminds him to be strong as the Guardian Knights, Jerome and Holtz, come up to Shun to escort him to the Garden of Swords. On the 30th of October 1790, Shun took his first step out of Storm Castle for the second time. As they continue their journey with Shun and his nanny inside the carriage heading to the main castle, the Guardian Knights outside call out that they might need to stop by a nearby village since the snow is falling fast and will soon pile up. Suddenly, the knights shout for Shun to stay put in the carriage as it shakes. There appears to be an ambush, so the nanny pulls Shun closer to her. Shun remains still as he hears that there are 20 enemies outside, including mages, warriors, and archers. However, this realization suddenly strikes Shun, and he shouts for his nanny to get out, explaining that under no circumstances are the knights to leave a Yudo child alone. They must remain by Shun's side at all costs. According to Shun, this means that one of the knights is either a traitor or a fake. Therefore, he must find a weapon inside the carriage and get out as soon as possible. His nanny, Gilly, understands everything and prepares herself in a form never seen before. Hidden under her sleeves are metal claws with which she promises to protect him, and they bust out of the carriage. As they try to escape, Gilly confesses that she might be punished when they reach the main castle, but Shun assures her not to think such thoughts. He tells her to go down to where the knights are, as he wants to confirm something. He believes that the people the knights might be fighting could be their allies since the easiest time to kill him would have been when they got out of the carriage, yet they cannot hear a single soul apart from themselves. However, he is proven wrong when the Yuta family from the Mattel family of magic and the mercenary group, the Black King Squad, scream for their men to find Shun. One of them announces the location of Gilly and Shun when Murika, the Black King Squad's captain, shelters them and announces that he and his team have come to rescue Shun at the request of the family. Gilly shouts for the fake knights to reveal themselves and their employer, but they merely insult her, calling her the dog of the Yudo family. Though this enrages her, she waits for Shun's order before acting. Upon Shun's command, she rushes toward them, cutting off one knight's arm and capturing another to bring to Shun. After completing his order, she drags the captured knight toward Shun, who taunts his master for being too confident. Gilly then informs the fake knight that in order to become a Yudo family nanny, one must be a warrior of 7 stars or above. Defeated, the fake knight screams that the Yudo reign of power is soon coming to an end. Surprisingly, Shun agrees but clarifies that he intends to begin the reign of Shun Yuto. Hearing the knight scream Zippel, makes Shun recall the other renowned family that ruled the other half of the world. Zippel has always pursued the pinnacle of magic. 1,000 years ago, when the founder of Yudo died, Zippel imposed a humiliating oath banning magic use within the Yudo family. As a result, all magical abilities within the Yudo family were sealed by this oath. The Yudo family has always considered Zippel their mortal enemy, and that feeling has been mutual. This leads Shun to order that the fake knight be discarded, as he is not worth interrogating since he is a follower of Zippel. However, as the fake is being dragged away, Shun begins to wonder. He knows that what happened to him does not align with the way the Zippel family usually operates. He suspects that the followers may have been acting on their own. Despite this lingering doubt, he remains grateful that Gilly was there for him. Afterward, Shun makes sure to thank Captain Murika for helping them. He informs Murika that for the remainder of the journey, he and his nanny are in their care until they reach the main castle, where Shun's family will reward them. Murika finds Shun oddly compelling. He has never seen such a confident and authoritative child. This makes him question whether Shun's statement about his reign beginning was just a child's boast. Taking no chances, Murika orders his team to remain cautious and avoid speaking carelessly for the rest of the trip as they resume their journey. As they travel, Shun assures Gilly not to worry about what happened during the escort, but she cannot help blaming herself. She apologizes, and Shun remembers that she was the same in his previous life. As the nanny of a Yudo family child, her fate was bound to that of the child. Because Shun had not been talented in his past life, Gilly suffered along with him, mocked and despised by others. Moreover, when Shun was banished from his own family, Gilly was also banished. Instead of resenting him, she merely bowed her head and apologized for not being able to take better care of him. Because of her unwavering loyalty in his past life, Shun is determined to ensure she does not suffer in this one. He orders her to stop blaming herself, reminding her that she is the only guardian left with him. If she doubts herself over such small matters, how will she handle future troubles? Gilly's heart swells as she realizes how much Shun cares about her, and she becomes determined to pull herself together so she does not worry him any further. Midway through their journey, they stop at a hotel, where Captain Murika books 2 rooms for them. During the process, Shun's mind wanders. He cannot help but wonder whether someone else was involved in what happened. He suspects Bubere Gaston, a transformation sorcerer. Bubere is infamous because transformation magic is a skill often associated with dragons. However, even dragons struggle to achieve perfect transformations. Bubere, however, was the only one who could perform a flawless transformation. Unfortunately, he used his ability for nefarious purposes, causing chaos throughout the world. Shun fears Bubere's involvement, as it would complicate matters further. He recalls that in his previous life, Bubere was arrested when Shun was 20. However, he also believes that having an ally like Bubere could be beneficial. Before he can think further, exhaustion overcomes his 10-year-old body, and he falls into a deep sleep. The next morning, Shun is woken by the sound of a cat. He looks out and sees the cat struggling to cling to the window. This reminds him that Noboru was supposed to follow him. Realizing it is Noboru, he quickly opens the window, finding it amusing that the mighty dragon has taken the form of a cat. When Noboru had promised to follow him, Shun expected him to disguise himself as a horseman or a knight, but never as a cat. Hearing this, Noboru returns to his human form and yells that if he had come as a horseman or knight, others would have recognized him. He moves forward toward Shun but trips on a faulty floorboard, hitting his face against the wall. The loud noise alerts Gilly, who rushes into the room, ready to protect Shun. Upon seeing an unknown man in her master's room, she immediately unleashes her claws. Just as she is about to strike, Noboru recognizes her as the same person who used to prepare the strawberry pies he loved. Excitedly, he introduces himself. Seeing no other choice, Shun steps in and informs Gilly that Noboru is the official guardian of the Yudo family. As Shun starts to introduce Gilly, Noboru exclaims that he already knows her. She is his strawberry pie. Realizing her mistake in disrespecting a guardian, Gilly immediately apologizes. Noboru, however, dismisses it. Sensing the tension, Shun suggests that everyone sit down as he explains. Hearing everything makes Gilly proud of who Shun has become. She is amazed and happy for Shun, but he warns her not to let anyone in the family know about Noboru and his connection to him. In the next scene, everyone has already reached the middle teleportation gate, where Gilly thanks the captain for his help and promises him a reward from the Yudo family. However, before leaving, the captain makes sure to ask Gilly about her reason for being just a nanny at the Yudo household, despite holding such immense talent. But Gilly isn't ready to talk about it, so she dismisses the question. Respecting her privacy, the captain lets it go and leaves. They then enter the teleportation gate, where after verifying their identity cards, they are told to wait for 2 hours, so they head into the waiting room. There, Gilly confesses her worries to Shun regarding Noboru and magic. But just as Shun is about to reassure her, he notices the mark of a golden dragon on someone's cloak and instantly recognizes them as belonging to the Zippel family. Even though Shun finds the Zippel's face somewhat familiar, he isn't able to place it. The Zippel notices Shun and Gilly and immediately starts mocking them before setting his eyes on Shun's kitten. Zippel steps forward, but the kitten, which is actually Noboru, hisses at him, causing the Zippel guards to draw their swords. Zippel calms them down, knowing that drawing swords in front of a family renowned for its swordsmanship is foolish. However, he finds it interesting that despite all his provocation, Shun and Gilly have not reacted at all. Impressed by Shun, he decides to properly introduce himself. He is Veridin Zippel, a genius magician and a potential heir of the family, possessing not only great skill but also a good heart. Shun in turn decides to mess with him as well, and at his joke the guards again draw their swords. This prompts Shun to jokingly threaten Veridin, saying that he might have to continue his journey without his guards, or his finger. Veridin then gives Shun a little advice, warning him not to joke about such matters with another noble unless he wants to spark a clash between their families. Shun, however, informs him that such major patriarchs would never involve their entire clan over a mere dispute between children. This makes sense to Veridin, who agrees that they wouldn't, rather, they would simply throw some gold at the issue to make it disappear. Grateful for the information, Veridin promises to return the favor someday. But Shun insists that he do so immediately, by remaining silent until the teleportation gate activates. However, Veridin has a hyperactive mind and cannot help but be impressed by Shun. He wishes they could be friends but knows it won't be possible due to their family ties, meaning they will eventually end up as enemies. Shun, however, finds Veridin annoying and considers him crazy. Soon their wait ends and they head toward the gate. As the teleportation begins, Veridin yells for Shun to meet again, but Shun hopes they never do. Once teleported, they arrive at their destination, where Pedro, the second-in-command housekeeper, has been waiting for them. He welcomes Shun to the main estate and the Garden of Swords. The Garden of Swords holds great historical significance, as anyone who has contributed to the prosperity of the Yudo family can bury their sword there. Simply put, the Garden of Swords symbolizes honor and dreams for the Yudo family. Shun recalls that in the past his dream was to have his sword placed there after his death. However, now he sees his past self as foolish for believing in hard work alone. This time, Shun intends to ensure that even the most worthless things are given a life worth living. Inside the castle, the entire family awaits Shun. The first to greet him is Rosa Yuto, also known as the Black Panther, his mother. Just then Noboru, still in his cat form, approaches Shun, prompting Chiron to ask if he has picked up a stray. But Shun corrects him, saying that he has taken the stray in. Shun's confidence and attitude impress Chiron. If that weren't enough to irritate his siblings, Shun then announces the kitten's name, Butterfly Yuto. Immediately protests erupt, with everyone exclaiming that he cannot give the family name to an animal. When Chiron asks for his reasoning, Shun explains that it is to make himself feel responsible for the kitten. Since it is the first life he has taken in, he wants to give it weight. Amused by his youngest, Chiron comments that Shun seems to have a talent for making enemies, judging by the way his siblings glare at him. But Shun's response pleases him even more, that he also has a talent for killing enemies. Time passes swiftly and 4 years later, in early summer of the year 1794, Shun has reached the rank of 2-star Knight low-rank cadet. Since his entry he has been training under Garen Altamir, a Yuto Guardian Knight cadet and low-rank class instructor, who reminds Shun of his training with his sister Luna. Planning to go there after lunch, he refuses to eat with his siblings as they do nothing but stare at him. Instead he sits by the stairs while Belop Schmitz, a Yuto Guardian Knight cadet of the basic rank class, brings him a tray of food. Shun remembers Belop's fate, how he was disqualified as a cadet and expelled for falling behind in his training. Belop, however, seems grateful to Shun and his family for allowing him to eat hot, delicious food every day. Shun advises him to maintain proper conduct and discipline so that others do not look down on him. He urges him to have confidence. However, Belop is insecure about his grades and abilities as a cadet. Despite this, Shun's encouragement motivates him. Seeing Belop's pure personality, Shun is certain that he is often bullied by his family. Moved by his innocence, Shun promises to look after him and ensure he is not expelled this time. In the next scene, Shun assesses his skills and abilities. His shadow energy release is at 2 stars, his mana at 4 stars, and his swordsmanship at 2 stars. He is satisfied with his progress and believes that with hard work, he can increase his swordsmanship to 3 stars within 2 years. However, he still has training left with Luna, so he hurries to meet her. Luna begins his lesson by advising him to look through his mind's eye. She explains that for those who live by the blade, mastering the mind's eye is more important than anything else. Shun finds it confusing, as the mind's eye is a realm accessible only to those at the 7-star level and can only be obtained by scattering aura. However, trusting Luna, he decides to focus harder on his training, hoping that one day he will understand it. As their training ends, Luna finds herself impressed by Shun's potential. He has somehow always exceeded her expectations, and she hopes that he continues growing like that. In the next scene, Garen is preparing everyone for their sparring practice, which covers most of their guard. He also informs Shun that it is an important day for him, as his mother has recommended that if Shun is able to defeat 10 upper ranks, he will be promoted to the intermediate rank of the training group starting next year. As excited and eager as Shun is, his eyes move toward Belop and see him scared out of his mind. Even though Shun isn't worried, since he will soon take proper measures regarding Belop so he doesn't get expelled, he wishes for him to be more confident. Garen then announces to everyone that they will practice sparring 3 times while switching partners, and the top 10 will face Shun. And so it begins. Shun finds them to be quite skilled, and soon the top 10 stand before him. Shun then starts his fight. However, to defeat the rest, he must keep an eye on one specific cadet, Mesa Milkano, an elite who will immediately become a guardian knight upon passing all the cadet programs. They start their fight and Shun finds her strong, but not strong enough that he won't be able to defeat her. However, the problem he faces is that after Mesa he still has to fight 8 more opponents. Meanwhile, Mesa is quite confused as to why Shun is attacking her using simple techniques, even though he has mastered some of the more advanced ones. This makes her feel as if he is disrespecting her, as if he thinks she won't be able to defeat him. This infuriates her, and she attacks him with her full strength, only to end up being defeated by Shun. Losing to Shun, who used such great tactics, makes her realize that she still has a lot to learn. So she exclaims to Shun that she will devote herself to her training, and will make sure to defeat him next time. One by one, Shun defeats all 10 cadets. Garen then approaches him and congratulates him on being promoted to the intermediate level. As Garen instructs everyone to go for lunch, Shun interrupts and asks how much time is left. Upon learning that there are still 10 minutes remaining, he picks up his wooden sword and calls out for Belop. He exclaims that he wants to face Belop as the last cadet and yells for him to come and fight. Belop, who is obviously terrified, wonders why Shun is doing this to him. But having no choice, he stands before Shun. Shun tries his best to provoke Belop by insulting him. As planned, it works. Belop gets mad and rushes to attack. Shun is impressed by Belop's ability to block his attacks. During the fight, Shun continues to insult Belop, making him even angrier until he starts to release aura. This makes everyone panic, and Mesa asks Garen to stop them. Before Garen can intervene, Shun stops them and orders them to take what they have seen to their graves. Shun then tells Belop not to hold back if he knows how to use aura, and he certainly doesn't. As they resume fighting, Shun realizes that he didn't truly know how strong Belop was, even though he was somewhat aware of it. Every time the cadets sparred, Belop had been able to analyze his opponent's skills and strategies and match their strength before ultimately losing. They have a fierce fight, which ends with Shun putting Belop in a headlock. As he releases him, Belop asks why he stopped, as the fight isn't over yet. Shun explains his reason for humiliating Belop, that he cares for him and only wants him to become stronger. He finds Belop to be kinder than himself, and although he admires that quality, he knows that Belop won't survive in the brutal environment of the Yudo family if he remains this way. He officially apologizes for being so harsh. Just then, the food arrives. Belop asks Shun to bring his own food, but Shun informs him that he will bring Belop's as well. Meanwhile, Khan reports everything that happened during practice to Chiron. Chiron finds Shun's conviction, embracing the weak while ruling through strength, quite interesting and decides to see if it holds any value. He makes up his mind to give Shun his first mission. By January 1975, Shun has turned 15 and has already risen to the level of a 3-star knight. Soon their school holidays begin. Some students return to their hometowns, while others choose to focus on personal training. Since they have advanced to the intermediate level, they no longer need wooden swords and start using real ones. Like his peers, Shun searches for a sword that suits him in the family armory. However, Luna insists on choosing one for him. Shun trusts her decision, but soon regrets it when she places a massive slaughter sword known as Veil's Slaughter before him. She informs him that she used to wield this sword frequently at his age, and that it is the original form of Krantil, the sword she currently uses. Even though Shun is grateful for it, he confesses that he doesn't believe the sword is meant for him. This makes Luna feel a bit disheartened, but she pretends to be fine. She then decides to show him the other sword as well. She explains that she has put a lot of effort into choosing a sword specifically for him, one that can only be used by him. After much thought, she concluded that the perfect choice was the brother sword of Barasata, a weapon first wielded by the patriarch named Bradamanti. Shun is overjoyed upon seeing the sword, knowing that both Barasata and Bradamanti are swords suitable for wielding shadow energy. He also realizes that if he had chosen it himself, his siblings would have made him give it up. So, he makes sure to thank Luna for giving it to him. However, this makes Luna feel that Shun still isn't entirely comfortable with her, which she finds disheartening. She then tells him to close his eyes, wanting to teach him something. As he does, Luna places her hand on his shoulder and tells him that while all their other siblings are striving to be the best, there are also siblings who love him unconditionally. She explains that she doesn't want him to lead a lonely life like she did long before he was born. Excited about his new sword, the first person Shun shows it to is Noboru, who isn't even surprised to see it. He calms Shun down and informs him that he is still unfamiliar with shadow energy. Having the sword won't be of much use since he needs to reach a 3-star level in shadow energy, while he is currently only at 2-star. Noboru suggests that he use a normal sword until he reaches the 5-star level in shadow energy. They begin to bicker, and Shun eventually grows irritated with him. Just then Gilly enters, informing Shun that Garen is looking for him. Garen wants to discuss the strategy while examining the map, meaning he has assigned Shun his first mission. He will depart as soon as the break is over. Shun heads to meet Garen regarding the mission, where he finds 10 basic rank cadets who have also been assigned the task. Garen explains that they will be split into 2 teams for a search mission near Gene Kingdom's southern border. The Gene Kingdom is located close to Beastman territory as well as the White Wolf tribe. Shun realizes that the area is quite dangerous and sending low-rank cadets there could be risky. He finds the whole situation rather suspicious. It feels as though someone has orchestrated this mission and chosen the people who will participate. He eventually concludes that the entire incident with Bellup might have been reported to his father, and that Chiron is now testing his trust in him. 3 days later, at the southern border, Shun and the others receive a briefing on the mission's objective: to search for the heir of the Gene Kingdom's Ville family, Semberville. They will set up a base camp at the center of the border, and once that is done, each group will begin their search. Information will be relayed back to the camp daily by sending a designated messenger. With all the necessary details in mind, they set out, hoping to find their target alive. During the search, Bellup approaches Shun with information about a beastman near the Watertail tribe. However, since the tribe is known to be docile, they don't pose much of a threat. Shun then orders Bellup to set up camp and return to Zone 13, while the rest continue searching the area. Despite everything going smoothly, Shun cannot shake the feeling that something is wrong, especially since his father personally assigned this mission. His unease grows, but he decides not to overthink it. Suddenly, a cadet rushes towards him, exclaiming that the other group has been ambushed. Shun immediately takes command, ordering the cadets to prepare for action. He quickly learns that the second group had to scatter to evade the enemy. The attackers are reportedly humans, at least 3 of them, but Shun finds this unlikely considering that the cadets in the group belong to the Udo family. After making the necessary arrangements, they set off toward the second group. Along the way, Shun wonders why the ambush targeted the second group instead of the first, making the whole situation feel even more suspicious. As they progress, they come across bloody trails, which only fuels Bellup's growing unease. Observing the pattern of the bloodstains and footprints, Shun deduces that a single man ambushed the group. Just as he reaches this conclusion, someone interrupts his thoughts, reporting that they have found bandages belonging to Hugh Fester. This indicates that while treating their wounds, the group was ambushed again and forced westward. Following their plan, they eventually locate the second group. However, Shun notices that the number of ambushers has increased and that Mesa is missing. Following Shun's orders, Bellop launches an attack on the ambusher to his left after a brief 2-second delay, while Shun engages his own target. After successfully defeating the attackers, Shun asks if everyone is unharmed. When they confirm that they are, he realizes that Mesa has been captured.